Hello everyone, and welcome back to Daily December. Today, we'll be seeing how fast Ho-Oh can beat Pokemon Heartgold in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. Heartgold is the box art legendary for Pokemon Heartgold, and Lugia is for Pokemon Soul Silver. We'll do Lugia later in the month though, but for now, we're doing Ho-Oh, and I do expect some great things from it. We have 106 HP, 130 attack, 90 defense, 110 special attack, 154 special defense, and 90 speed. And just like every other legendary, we are in the slow level up group. And what's kind of surprising is our special defense is equivalent to Mewtwo's Gen 1 special, or its modern special attack, which is kind of insane if you think about it. And I did not really expect this thing to have higher attack than special attack though, because generally fire moves tend to be special moves. And even though I expect great things in the later parts of the game, I don't expect great things now. We only start with two moves, Weather Ball and Whirlwind. And these are not fun moves to have. Whirlwind is completely useless, and Weather Ball is a very weak move, and since we're not going to set up anything like Sunny Day or Rain Dance at the start, it's just going to be a 50 power normal type move, and there's not many power points to it either, so we're going to have to use this until we can get Gust at level 9, and that is just going to be annoying, but I should be glad that it has Weather Ball at all, because it didn't get Weather Ball at level 1 until Heartgold and Soul Silver. In Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, it only started with Whirlwind, and you had to train till about the 17 level in order to get another attacking move, so I should be glad this isn't like Platinum or something. Although, never say never. As we go through the early sections of the game, I do want to talk about our nature and ability and hidden power typing. Our ability is Pressure, which just makes the opponent use double the amount of power points in battle. It's really not that useful unless the opponent is spamming like 5 PP moves. And our nature is Naive. This nature is plus speed minus special defense. We have way too much special defense and not enough speed, especially since the later parts of the game, mainly the round 2 Elite 4 in red, have very high speed stats. So we're going to need every ounce of speed we can get. And our hidden power typing is Hidden Power Ice. This is mainly just going to be our answer to Lance, and probably Clair as well. By the time I get to the Bellsprout Tower, I still do not have access to Gust yet, so while going up the tower, I actually had to leave and go heal up my Weather Ball PP. But while I'm in the tower though, I do finally get level 9 and learn Gust. Finally, we can quit using this awful move. Anyway, why don't we go take on the first gym leader of Johto, Falkner. Falkner leads off with a Pidgey. I go for Gust for the 2-shot, and it missed Tackle, which is pretty funny. Then on the Pidgeotto, it looks like Gust is going to be a 3-shot, but that means that the Pidgeotto is going to be stuck in a Roost loop. But that's fine though. He'll eventually either run out of Roosts, or he'll just decide not to use it, because sometimes he randomly decides to just not use Gust, and by the time he finally quits using the move, the Pidgeotto actually crit me, and Ho-Oh ends up getting its very first Blackout on Falkner, which is honestly kind of pathetic. But on the second try though, he does go my way, and I can walk away with the Zephyr badge. His badge does let me use Rock Smash outside of battle, so I can go ahead and pick up the TM right here. And I unfortunately haven't gotten a Rock Smash user yet, so I go inside the Union Cave to get Sandshrew. This thing is not just a Rock Smash user, it can also be used for Strength and Rock Climb. Geodude would have worked as well. And now with access to Rock Smash, I can actually smash this boulder right here and get myself the Shell Bell. This is basically an early game discount Leftovers. It's not as good as Leftovers, but it'll do. Nothing eventful happens in the Slowpoke well, and with all that cleared out, we have another gym leader to go take on. We need to go take on Bugsy, the user of bug types. Pun, right? He leads off with his Scyther. I go ahead and just use a bunch of Gust to slowly take it out, but I actually had a neat idea. It used focus energy, so I actually decide to whirlwind it out of the fight, so that way it loses its focus energy. Plus, also, during the fight, you don't see it on my overlay until the battle wears off, but I did end up learning the move Brave Bird, and that move just completely demolishes his entire team. Brave Bird takes care of the rival fight here as well, and then as soon as I gather up the Farfetch'd and get cut, I can go back to the house right here and get a Charcoal. This will boost the power of fire type moves by 20%, so it's going to be a very useful item to have. You may be wondering where the Sharp Beak is. It's one of those day of the week items, and I'm not playing on a day where I can get that, so unfortunately that's going to be out of the question. As soon as I leave the forest and enter Goldenrod City, I go ahead and get the radio card and go enter the Goldenrod City game corner. We're going to need a bunch of coins. Not too many, but still a bunch. I continue playing Voltorb Flip until I reach 19,555 coins, and with all these coins I go ahead and purchase 1 Dratini for Surf, Whirlpool, and Waterfall. I get 1 TM for Flamethrower, and then 2 TMs for Substitute, just in case I have to delete one of them later. And then finally, I get myself a Silk Scarf. The Silk Scarf boosts the power of normal type moves by 20%. Plus, having access to Stab Flamethrower this early on, with the Charcoal of all things, is going to be quite devastating. And then, in the top floor of the Goldenrod department store, I go ahead and purchase the TM for Thunder. I could have gotten Thunderbolt from the game corner, but I wanted to save 10,000 coins, so I decided to just get Thunder instead. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the ass. And speaking of Thunder, Thunderbolt, and Flamethrower, we should go take a look at our TMs and HMs real quick before we take on Whitney. Ho-Oh gets a lot of material to work with. It gets access to Calm Mind, which is unfortunately locked behind the Battle Frontier, so it's inaccessible. But we also get moves like Giga Drain, Solar Beam, Thunderbolt Thunder, Earthquake, Return, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Shockwave, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Aerial Ace, Steel Wing, Overheat, Charge Beam, Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave, Dream Eater, Pluck, Fly, Strength, and Rock Smash. So pretty much a lot of different material. And you can probably see why I went Hidden Power Ice. Anyway, why don't we go take on Whitney now? She leads off with Clefairy. I have a slight moveset overhaul. I now have Substitute and Flamethrower on the moveset. I can use Flamethrower to 2-shot, while Clefairy just Metronome's Triple Kick. I get to level 18, and then I can continue using Flamethrower. Rollout does do quite a lot, but there's not really much she can do about it. At least the Miltank has Scrappy instead of Thick Fat, because Thick Fat would definitely be a problem here, especially if you chose the Cyndaquil starter. As soon as I leave out of town, I go ahead and get Kenya the Spearow, and then I can fight my way up to Ecruteak City. Fortunately, the 2 beauties with the Clefable and Wigglytuff don't provide any problems, and that's a good thing because usually they do, because they are quite bulky, especially in the HP department. But then once they're defeated, I can enter Ecruteak City. Having access to Substitute prevents the rival here from ever setting up a Curse or something else like Thunderwave or Supersonic, so it makes him absolutely trivial. And you know who else it's going to make trivial? Morty. He leads off with his first Ghastly. I go ahead and use Extra Sensory because I forget to set up a Substitute, and then I realized it on the Gengar, but unfortunately for him, instead of using something like Hypnosis, it just goes for Mean Look. Yep, classic old Morty. I have Substitute, and I beat him even without it. You know what's funny though? I remember when I was recording this run in my Discord server, I remember Shadow Stitch was double dog daring me to do the fight without Substitute, and I went ahead and did it and just won anyway. It was actually pretty funny. With Morty defeated, I can head over to Olivine City, clear out the lighthouse, and then I can get access to Cianwood City. But before I can get there, I realized I accidentally forgot to get the Surf HM from the dance theater in Ecruteak. So I had to take the Walk of Shame back. Yep, that is a total dumb moment for me. And despite Ho-Oh being a fire type, I do a lot of the training in the water because they still provide good XP yields. Plus I like to get these trainers out of the way because the Whirl Islands has 2 rare candies you can backtrack for later, so it's always a good idea to just get these trainers out of the way. And with all the training done, why don't we go ahead and take out Chuck? I must be aware of his Primeape though, because it does have Rock Slide. So I decided to go for Brave Bird and it actually one-shots, which kind of surprised me. And then Poliwrath is also a one-shot with Brave Bird. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, this thing's attack stat is quite insanely high. And with Chuck defeated, I get access to Fly outside of battle, so I go ahead and teach this to Kenya the Spearow, and then make my way to the Lake of Rage. I can then run away from the shiny Gyarados like a sociopath, and then enter the underground rocket hideout. Nothing really eventful happens here either, and once it's cleared out, I can either go fight Pryce or Jasmine, and usually it's a better idea to take on Pryce first, so that's exactly what I do. He leads off with Seal. It is not part Ice type, and I forget this at the start because I was using Flamethrower on it like an idiot. Not only is it not part Ice type, it has Thick Fat. Okay, yeah, I am just asking to get a reset here. As soon as I realize this, I do switch over to Brave Bird. Then on the Piloswine, I use Brave Bird? Okay, what the hell was I doing here? And then lastly on the Dugong, I'm pretty much screwed here, and then Ice Shard ends up knocking me out, giving me my very first reset. Okay, that is completely on me. I should not have played that stupid. Then on the second attempt, I go extra sensory into Brave Bird. I don't know why. Brave Bird would have one-shot it just fine. I guess I just wanted to save some recoil HP, but I do end up beating this fight with a bunch of health left over, although it does come pretty close. And then I continue just spamming extra sensory until I eventually win because my health gets far too low to take the recoil damage of Brave Bird. But fortunately, once I beat Pryce, Jasmine should be a lot easier because I do have the type advantage. I'm still holding on the Charcoal too from quite a while ago. I do set up a free substitute on the Magnemite just in case something fishy happens with the Steelix. I can one-shot both of her Magnemites, and then on the Steelix herself, I one-shot it. Yep, completely unnecessary substitute. You'd love to see it. Blah blah blah, Team Rocket Radio Tower, blah blah blah, rival was completely easy. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna stop the blah blahing right here. I go to the 5th floor of the department store to get the TM for return, and then I go down to the 4th floor and buy some vitamins. And today's vitamin of the day is 4 calcium. We don't really need much more attack, and our speed stat is just fine, so more special attack for Flamethrower and extra sensory will be quite appreciated. Blah blah blah, back to the rockets, no one cares. And now with the rockets cleared out, I have to go back to the Lake of Rage and solve this flooded maze of trees. And as soon as I solve the maze, I can enter this house and get the TM for Hidden Power. I can buy more Hidden Powers inside Celadon City, but I'm still going to need Hidden Power for Lance for sure, and possibly for Clair too. But I'm not done with the Lake of Rage yet. There is a rare candy right here too, and then at the northern part of the lake, I can go ahead and get the Choice Specs. This will lock me into one move, but my special attack gets a 50% boost. It's essentially like one Calm Mind, or half a Nasty Plot. So it's definitely going to be useful for some fights. Although I do have some bad news. While I was making my way to Clair, I get caught by this gym trainer right here. Her name is Ace Trainer Fran. She leads with a Seadra. I go for extra sensory, it lives, and then Brine knocks me out because I forgot to heal. And because of this, I have to let my HM users die and actually get my second ever blackout. Fortunately, I did heal in Blackthorn, so I didn't have far back to go, but yeah, that was a bit of a time waste. Anyway, let's go fight Clair now. She leads off with Gyarados. I forgot to heal before this fight, but I do have a moveset overhaul. I now have Thunder and Hidden Power on my moveset. I can Thunder the Gyarados, and then I use one Brave Bird on the Kingdra for half, and then it kills me with Hydro Pump. Yep, my fault. When I come back from the Pokemon Center because I ran out of Hyper Potions, I can then use Brave Bird to supposedly two-shot it, but the problem is it has a Citrus Berry and it spams the hell out of Smokescreen. But fortunately, Ho-Oh doesn't seem to really care that much, although I do get paralyzed with Thunder Wave. It's a little consequence of no longer having Substitute because I do want Thunder for the Gyarados and Hidden Power Ice for the Dragonairs. Although, now that I think about it, I think spamming Brave Bird would have been the better choice, but then again, the recoil damage would have been far too much. But at least I beat her on the second try. Then, inside the Dragon's Den, I can get this hidden Max Elixir. There is a second Max Elixir in here as well, but it's guarded by some twins where you have to do a double battle, and I don't really get that anymore unless I feel like I absolutely need it. Then I can solve this old man's quiz. I don't have to come back from the Dratini because I buy it from the Game Corner now, and now I can have all 8 badges. But before I go take on the Pokemon League, I do have to take on the Kimono Girls really quick. But the problem is, they're 5 consecutive trainers and they're kinda tough. If I lose to any one of them, I gotta fight them all over again. This would be a great opportunity to deposit my HM users, and if I lose, I can just black out and keep all the experience because the evolutions do give great experience yields, but I don't need to do that with Ho-Oh today. Although the very first Umbreon does end up being quite annoying and drains more than half of my health. It's a good thing I have the Shell Bell though, but it is quite awful that happened. Fortunately for me though, the Espeon is a one-shot with Flamethrower thanks to a crit. I have to two-shot the Flareon with Thunder because it has Flash Fire, and one of them did miss, but I do fortunately defeat her. The Jolteon is a two-shot with Flamethrower, although the first Thunderbolt ends up paralyzing me, and because of that, I get a loss. If I had deposited my HM users, I would have just blacked out and keep the XP, but I didn't just think of doing that. When I come back into the fight though, I beat the Umbreon without taking any damage. And the only reason that is because I go back into the fight with Choice Specs. This was the far better held item instead of Shell Bell, so yeah, that was completely my fault. And with the Kimono Girls defeated, I can run away from the inferior Ho-Oh and then make my way towards Victory Road. I fight a lot of the random trainers on the way up too because I am still in the slow level up group. And then at the very end of Victory Road, I need to take on the rival one last time, and he hasn't really provided any problems this entire playthrough, and today is no different here. And now, with him defeated, I can enter the Pokemon League. I heal up at the center, buy some full restores, and now, we need to go take on the final 5 trainers of Johto. Let's do this shit. The first member of the Elite Four is Will, the user of Psychic types. He leads off with Xatu. I go ahead and one-shot it with Thunder, and then the Slowbro's a one-shot with Thunder. I have Shell Bell equipped, so I'm not locked into Thunder. Then I can switch to Flamethrower for the Jinx and the Exeggutor. And then last up is his final ace, Jinx. I will go ahead and switch on over to Thunder for the one-shot. Quite a lucky fight. Next up is the Poison-type Elite Four member, Koga. Koga is generally pretty great for Fire-type users. He leads with Ariados, which is a one-shot. The Forretress is obviously a one-shot. And then on the Muck, I continue using Flamethrower, and I actually one-shot it thanks to a critical hit. Then on the Crobat, it does survive a Flamethrower and activate a Citrus Berry, but fortunately the second Flamethrower still knocks it out, and Venomoth goes down to it as well. Next up is the Fighting-type Elite Four member, Bruno. He leads off with his Hitmon top. I go ahead and use Brave Bird to quickly get rid of it. Unfortunately, the Shell Bell will heal some of that health back. Then on the Onix, I can one-shot with Hidden Power Ice, another great use for it. And then on the Hitmonchan, I decided to two-shot it with Flamethrower because I'm pretty sure Brave Bird would not kill it from here. I deny learning Punishment because it's not really a good move. Then on the Machamp, I go ahead and use Flamethrower, and it really did not do as much as I thought. And the Machamp hits me with Rock Slide because of no guard, and it one-shots me. So yep, there goes my first reset in the league. On the second attempt, when I get back to the Machamp, I switch on over to Brave Bird, and Brave Bird does one-shot it. So that was definitely a misplay. Next up is the Dark-type Elite Four member, Karen. She leads off with Umbreon. Fortunately, it does not have Sand Attack in this game. It does set up a double team though to be annoying. And sadly for me, Flamethrower looks like it's a range to two-shot. So when it uses a full restore, I go Flamethrower into Brave Bird. Then on the Murkrow, I can one-shot it with Flamethrower. I cannot do the same for Houndoom because I tried to use it and Flash Fire activated. But that's fine though, I can switch over to Brave Bird. Then on the Gengar, I go ahead and continue using Brave Bird because it has weaker defense than special defense. And then Vileplume, I can go either Brave Bird or Flamethrower. I decided to go for Flamethrower. So yeah, other than the reset at Bruno, the league went pretty dang good. But we still have to take on Lance though. But with Hidden Power Ice, it shouldn't be too bad, right? Lance leads off with his Gyarados. I'm not going to use Choice Specs for this fight because I don't want to be locked into one move. But that's fine though, Thunder still one-shots the Gyarados. Next up is the Aerodactyl. I outspeed the Aerodactyl by 7, which is why I did a lot of that training before Victory Road. And then I can use Hidden Power on his 2 level 49 Dragonites for the one-shot. And I can one-shot the 3rd Dragonite as well. Then on the Charizard, I have to switch over to Thunder, and fortunately Thunder hits. My Thunder luck has been pretty great in this run, and with that, Lance is defeated. But before we can finish the game though, we have to take on all 8 Kanto gym leaders, rematch the Elite Four, and then we have to go to Mount Silver and take on Red. Normally, the hardest gym leader in Kanto is Blue, so I'm actually going to fade out right now, and unless one of the other gym leaders provides a problem, you'll see me back at Blue. So I'm going to go ahead and fade out. And there is one that does provide a challenge. We need to talk about the Water-type gym leader, Misty. She leads off with her Golduck. I used Flamethrower on it by accident as a misclick, and once I realized this, I switched back to Thunder. I get to level 61, and then on the Lapras, I missed Thunder, and because of that Thunder miss, I get hit with Sing, and then afterwards, I proceed to miss so many Thunders, it was actually kind of insane. I guess my luck is finally catching up to me, and because of that, I get my very first reset in Kanto. And on the next attempt, once I get to her final Pokemon, the Quagsire, I'm at pretty low health, and I didn't really know what to do. I decided to go for Brave Bird, and surprisingly enough, Brave Bird one-shots the Quagsire, and I barely survived the recoil. So yeah, Misty, actually very scary in this run. There is another gym leader I need to talk about, and surprisingly enough, it's Blaine. Blaine leads off with Magcargo. The first thing I do is go for Thunder, and I miss, and Rock Slide does a lot of damage because of it. It's able to get 2 hits on me, and then afterwards, I miss 2 more Thunders, and Blaine gives me a reset. Oh my god, dude. I tried to use Thunder to save 10,000 coins from buying Thunderbolt, and this is how I get repaid? I mean, I could have gotten Rain Dance, but I don't want to do that. Just hit the freaking Thunders. Fortunately, just like Misty, Blaine only took 1 reset, and now with Blaine and Janine defeated, we now have to go take on Blue. So let's see how this fight goes, shall we? Blue leads off with his Executor. I do not want this thing to set up Trick Room, so I'm going to use Brave Bird right away. Next up is his Rhydon. I still have Hidden Power Ice for this fight, and surprisingly, it actually lived in red health, and then it's able to one-shot me with a Stone Edge crit. I was level 69 for this fight, so I wonder if damage rounding could be the problem here. Then look at this. On the third attempt, I actually survived Stone Edge at 2 HP remaining. And then on the Gyarados, you'll never guess what happened. I missed Thunder. Yeah, who would have seen that coming? I decide to leave his gym and go around the regions and get a couple more rare candies, and I do use one rare candy to get to level 70. And with access to level 70, Hidden Power Ice actually one-shots, but it's not really because of level 70. I'm also holding the Wise Glasses. This boosts the power of special moves by 10%. You can pick this up in Pewter City. So honestly, I think I should have just equipped this item from the very start. Although, I get yet another loss on blue because of a freaking Thunder miss. It takes me until 11 resets into the run to finally defeat blue because of this luck. I still would like to believe getting Thunder was the correct play, just because I really wanted to save on coins. But you may be wondering, where is Thunderbolt somewhere else? You can actually pick up a TM for Thunderbolt in the wild. It's in Cerulean Cave, so I couldn't even get that for blue even if I wanted to. But now that I have beaten blue, I could go get it if I want to while I'm getting the rare candy in there. And I actually do. I go to the second floor and get the TM for Thunderbolt. I'm going to go ahead and downgrade Thunder to Thunderbolt. I can then finish going around the Kanto and Johto regions with Rock Climb and go ahead and get the rest of the rare candies. So now at level 70, we need to go take on the League again in round 2. On Will, he leads off with Bronzor. It does have Heat Proof, which is kind of like Thick Fat for fire moves, but that's fine though, I can two-shot it from there. Then I can go ahead and two-shot the Grumpig with Flamethrower, even though I did burn it, so the burn didn't really matter. And then I can Brave Bird the Gardevoir, deny the opportunity to learn Recover, and then I can use Flamethrower on the Jinx, and then last up is the Slowbro. I can go ahead and switch over to Thunderbolt for the one-shot, as well as use it on Xatu as well. Which is what I should have done. I used Flamethrower on it and it lived. Oh well. Our level for Koga is almost perfect. At level 71, with 106 speed EVs with a naive nature, I actually speed tie his Crobat. On his lead Skuntank though, it surprisingly survived Flamethrower and hits me with Toxic. Yeah, this fight ain't going nowhere. On the second attempt though, I just go for Brave Bird and I end up defeating it in one hit. Then on the Crobat, when you speed tie the Crobat and it's spamming Fly, it creates a very weird fight where you could theoretically attack it twice while it's in the air, and I end up getting another loss because of it. I do get luckier on the next fight though and beat Koga. Alrighty guys, back to Bruno yet again. I go ahead and use Brave Bird on the Hitmon top for the one-shot and heal up with Shell Bell. I should have gotten leftovers, but I forgot to catch the Snorlax by mistake. Oops. I can then use Brave Bird to one-shot the Machamp, the Hitmonchan, the Hitmonlee, as well as use it on the Lucario and the Hariyama. I should have used Flamethrower on the Lucario to save some HP, because the problem is the Hariyama has so much HP, when I use Brave Bird on it, I actually die from the recoil damage. So yeah, that was my fault. On the second battle against Bruno though, I do use Flamethrower on the Lucario and then Brave Bird on the Hariyama. Karen leads off with her Weavile. I can outspeed it and use one Flamethrower, and then I can Thunderbolt the Honchkrow, get to level 73, and then on the Spiritomb, I go for Flamethrower, and fortunately, it used Confuse Ray instead of Curse, because if it had used Cursed, there was a decent chance I was going to reset. Then on the Umbreon, all it does is just spam Curse, although it's not the kind of Curse that does damage to me, but it sets up Umbreon's stats. But it doesn't do anything to the special defense, so taking it out with Flamethrower is no different from before. Then on her final Houndoom, I'm going to have to switch to Brave Bird because of Flash Fire. And last up, before we take on Red, is the round 2 fight with Lance. I still have not used any of my rare candies yet. I'm gonna try and save them for red. Hidden Power Ice can one-shot the Salamence. Thunderbolt one-shots the Gyarados. Hidden Power Ice one-shots the Garchomp before it can set up Swords Dance. And on the Charizard, it surprisingly lives a Thunderbolt, so this would have been a fight where Thunder is better. But then again, what can the Charizard even do to me? Flamethrower? And then on the Altaria, I switch over to Hidden Power Ice, and surprisingly, because of its high special defense, it does survive. But fortunately for me, it does not go for Perish Song. But honestly, even if it did, it was his second to last Pokemon. I theoretically could have still finished the fight in time. But by the time I finish the fight, the Dragonite goes down, and I win. Alright, we haven't really had too many problems in the league. We've had a reset here and there, but nothing too major. And with Lance defeated, we need to go to the top of Mount Silver and take on Red. So why don't we go finally finish this run? Red leads off with his level 88 Pikachu. I'm still level 74. I used a bunch of my rare candies earlier in the run. I have a few in my bag, but I forget to use them. I have a moveset overhaul. I have Flamethrower, Return, Swagger, and Psych Up. I actually used this strategy from someone in Scott's solo running Discord server. I can't remember what his name is, but he's in there somewhere. He does a lot of Heartgold runs. The plan is to actually use Swagger on the Pikachu, and then try to use Psych Up to steal the attack boost. And once you steal the attack boost, with the ability to outspeed everything naturally, Return will just one-shot everything. I will say though, Swagger Psych Up is quite a fun strat. Sadly, it will not work in Crystal because they locked the Psych Up TM behind trading an Abra from Gen 1. I'm not even kidding. But fortunately, I do first try Red and Ho-Oh clocks in, with a real time of 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 29 seconds, with 14 resets, 2 blackouts at level 75, with a game time of 7 hours and 1 minute. So yeah, this Pokemon was definitely a beast, although it did have a lot of resets because of bad luck with Thunder Misses and barely hitting ranges. The main problem with Ho-Oh is that it's a physical attacker. I think if it swapped its attack and special attack stats, I think this thing would have played a heck of a lot better. And I will admit, Swagger Psych Up is a very fun strat. If I didn't see that one guy in Scott's server using that strat, I probably would have ended up using Charge Beam Flamethrower and possibly Solar Beam Sunny Day. So yeah, fortunately, that guy figured out the strat, and I do want to appreciate that. But if y'all take a look at the leaderboard, I can't see it right now because I'm recording these runs ahead of time, but I'm quite confident it's pretty high up. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the backport Pokemon we do on stream. And this is the first of 2 Heartgold videos this month for Daily December. The next video, which will be done later in the month, will be Lugia. And for our next Daily December video tomorrow, we're going to be going back to Gen 1 and playing Pokemon Red with Electabuzz. It'll be kind of a simple run once I get past Brock. And if you want to know why Brock is bad, we're an electric type in Gen 1, that's why. Anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow for our next installment of Daily December.